What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back at again with another video. So we gotta talk about what happened on this episode of SmackDown. There was a lot of great stuff to really discuss tonight. I personally enjoyed this episode overall. There was some things that I'm really looking forward to seeing how things will play out at WrestleMania. We are literally like almost 2 weeks away. So they did some good stuff tonight, and I'm gonna definitely talk about it. First and foremost, shout out to everyone that was watching live on Twitch and YouTube. If you see a dog running in the background, that's Bentley. It's one of my friends. She came over and was kicking it with me for a little bit, and now I'm dog sitting. So if you see a dog running around or you hear a dog maybe whining or barking, that's Bentley. So shout out to Bentley. Bentley's right under the desk as we speak. So they were in Chicago. Chicago was a great crowd tonight. Obviously, CM Punk had to be there. CM Punk showed up and got a huge standing ovation from the crowd. He even pulled in the cameraman. He pulled a John Cena. He knew the cameraman on a first name basis, called him Rico, and, pointed the camera at the crowd. And he was basically, hyping up the idea that, or talking about the idea that, yeah, the European crowd, the European tour, the fans there, they were crazy. No one's going to be louder than them. And then Chicago showed out. So I like that he had that moment of just showing the crowd going crazy. They were standing up for him. They loved them some CM Punk in Chicago. And basically he was just talking about, the overall theme of his promo was the idea of people telling him he can't do it or he shouldn't be in a situation. And he was talking about how in the past for him, people were telling him he shouldn't be in this situation. He shouldn't be where he's at. And he wanted to give thanks to those that believed in him, like, the fans, his wife, AJ, the love for his dog, all this other stuff. And now he's main eventing WrestleMania. So as he's talking about this, Paul Heyman comes out. Paul Heyman comes out there, and basically, they show love to Paul, and basically Paul's trying to figure out what is the favor. He asked him, I have a favor for you, CM Punk. Can you tell me what your favor is before Roman gets here? And basically, CM Punk said, no. Let me know when your guy gets here, and I will tell you and him and the whole world what the favor is. So basically, we're going to wait to the end of the show to see what what CM Punk's favor was from Paul Heyman. So they cut to a segment in the back where Paul Heyman, it looks like he's waiting for the tribal chief to get there. And I think Byron Saxton asked him exactly, what the situation was. And he ends up kind of shooing off Byron and talking directly to the camera. And basically he was like, look, whatever the favor is, it's just going to be yes. I'm just going to say yes to it, which was his very first mistake, because he already said whatever the favor is, I'm going to agree to it. He just kind of wants to know ahead of time. And he's thinking that Roman Reigns is in the SUV heading down the ramp, when it was actually Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins came out the SUV down the rampway, and basically he was just there for a good old time. He was there. He finally calmed down. He wants to know exactly what the favor is as well. But that's literally what it was. He was just there to essentially watch all the chaos happen. After that segment, we turn to the Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair segment. They had a in-ring kind of, I guess you could say, a promo battle of sorts, or whatever you want to call it, a back and forth. We seen it a few weeks ago. They did like the little split screen, and Tiffany, she did not look good in that exchange, that verbal exchange. But tonight, Tiffany, she showed up. Tonight, Tiffany Stratton, she showed up, and I truly enjoyed her responses. Tiffany basically came out there and let it be known, like, look, for someone that sits up there and calls themselves the queen and all this other stuff, it doesn't matter. What hurts you the most is how these people feel about you. No matter what your accolades are, these people will never love you. And the crowd in Chicago, and I think they played it up really well. Charlotte really couldn't say too much because the crowd was giving her nuclear heel heat. So it kind of worked into their promo battle in a sense where it looked like Charlotte couldn't say nothing because the crowd wasn't going to let her. Tiffany had some nice little jabs. She was basically telling her like, no matter how many titles you try to win, the only Flair that people will really remember is your father. She called her the least favorite, the WWE's least favorite nepo baby. She was talking her trash, man. I think probably one of the coldest lines in this entire back and forth is her basically saying that when it's all said and done at WrestleMania, you'll end up by yourself again. What's that? You'll be 0-3. And she's basically talking about her being 0-3 in her marriages. That was such a nice little jab from Tiffany there. I don't know if there are reports saying that this was mostly unscripted. I wouldn't be surprised because that shit was good. Basically told her, not only are you going to lose at WrestleMania to me, you're going to be 0-3 when it's all said and done by yourself. I mean, you're already 0-3, but you'll be by yourself even more. You're not going to be in no meaningful relationship. She even mentioned the fact that, hey, while you was trying to be a volleyball girl or play volleyball at 25, I'm over here, being wrestling at WrestleMania for the WWE Women's Championship at 25. There's levels to it. And what made it sound like this wasn't planned is after she made the 0-3 comment, the crowd's oohing and awing, she gets out the ring, you can hear Charlotte basically say, that's crazy. I find that funny, even though Ludwig be in my DMs. That's crazy coming from you, even though Ludwig Kaiser be in my DMs. And basically, if you don't know, Ludwig is actually dating Tiffany. So that actually seemed like some personal jabs. Like that actually seemed kind of personal. And it made me enjoy this whole segment so much more. I'm not doing it justice. Go watch that. The 0-3 line, chef's kiss. Tiffany looked good out there. It made me care more about this feud. Definitely did. This is the Jay feud, Jay versus Gunther. What happened on Monday Night Raw, I care more. Now with this Tiffany and Charlotte, how they play that out, I care more. I'm looking forward to seeing how things play out in these upcoming weeks, but that definitely took a personal turn, so I can definitely appreciate what they did there, and Tiffany didn't look like a joke out there. Next, obviously, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, unfortunately, the reports are true. He came out there and basically he said he's been dealing with neck issues for the past 4 months, and he got it recently checked up, and it looks like he has to go get surgery, which means he's going to be out for a while, which means he's going to miss WrestleMania. And at first I was concerned if this was just like the Mark Henry situation, like a work of sorts to attack Randy Orton, but no, it wasn't. It was not a work. The way they presented it with Nick Aldis coming out there and giving this somber tone to introduce KO, and then Randy Orton coming out there and they looking at each other, and Randy don't say nothing, KO don't say nothing, Randy doesn't attack him, KO don't do anything. They just KO goes back to the back up the ramp, and Randy gets in the ring. But as KO's leaving, a fan says something to KO that pisses him off, and he goes right to the fan, and they start having words. Don't know what was said. We may find out, but they cut. And if WWE's cutting from something, they don't want you to see it. So they cut from what happened on the entrance ramp and then cut right to Randy Orton looking at what was happening on the entrance ramp. So we don't know what was said, but basically KO has to, take a leave of absence to get this neck surgery. And I'm wishing him a speedy recovery. It really does suck. He's going to be missing out WrestleMania with Randy Orton. Like that sucks, bro. That's really unfortunate. So unfortunately the news were true. And since Randy Orton couldn't really get his hands on KO, he hit Nick Aldis with another RKO. So there we go. I'm sure Randy's going to get another fine from Nick Aldis. He's just like, fuck it, whatever. So hopefully they can find something for Randy Orton. I'm really, hoping that they can, really give him something to do, whether it's maybe being Cody's corner for WrestleMania, possibly, who knows. But I hope he has something to do for WrestleMania because he's healthy and now he doesn't have a WrestleMania type moment. That kind of sucks. So. Also, they had vignettes for Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. I love Drew McIntyre is rocking his eye patch and, him basically saying, Damian Priest has only succeeded at my expense and he doesn't want to admit the truth and the fact that, he did this to me. He like, that's fine. That's cool. You attacked me. That's okay. But you know what? I'm going to do some praying. And you know what happens when I start praying for stuff. And I like Damian's promo package of sort in response. And basically he pointed out all the hypocrisy from Drew McIntyre. It's like, bro, all those things happened because of what you did. I'm just doing what I need to do, my part. Don't blame me for your issues. The problems you cause. You're a hypocrite. You whine and complain and you think like that's like you're right when you're wrong. So at WrestleMania, cool. If I'm the villain in your story, cool. I'm okay with that. I have no problem being the villain in your story at WrestleMania. I'm actually more intrigued in this match as well. I like the back and forth. They're supposed to have a back and forth in the ring next week, so that should be good. I love what they do both doing. They're both crash out artists. Fucking love it. And finally, not finally, I want to mention the last man standing match. Definitely enjoyed it between Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu. It was a good match, but ultimately, and I was expecting maybe Solo to get involved and cost them a match, but no. Jacob Fatu was able to be the last man standing barely. He ran into Braun Strowman in the corner. He did, like the hip, where he runs in full speed and basically hip tackles someone, or runs his hips into someone that's laying in the turnbuckle corner area. The table was there. That's exactly what he did. Braun Strowman wasn't able to get up in enough time for the 10 count, and Jacob Fatu has won and now is facing LA Knight for the United States Championship at WrestleMania. I love LA, but I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I think that United States Championship is going to Jacob Fatu, and I don't think anyone will complain. They are going to build, I'm sure they're going to build some story with Jacob Fatu as the United States Champion and Solo Sikoa maybe feeling some type of way at some point. So we'll see how that plays out, but I can definitely see Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu actually winning the United States Championship this year against LA Knight. So that should be fun as well. And finally, we get to the main event. And by the main event, it's basically the talking segment. So Paul Heyman finally sees Roman Reigns comes down the ramp, and Roman's not saying nothing. He doesn't say nothing to Paul Heyman. He walks right past him, right through Gorilla, right out to the ring, and he's walking. He's not trying to wait for the pyro or nothing. He is not taking his sweet time. This is the fastest I've ever seen Roman Reigns go through his entrance. Got in there, said what he had to say, and basically was like, hey, man, I'm here for CM Punk. CM Punk, come on out here so we can figure out what the hell this favor is for. Seth Rollins comes out there. And, he's talking about their history and how Roman is, he's not good with facing reality. He likes to live in his own universe, but when reality hits him in the face, he doesn't do too well. Reality hit him in the face with the heist of the century and Seth Rollins cashing in on him at WrestleMania 31. Then reality hit him in the face last year at WrestleMania 40 when, Seth Rollins was the reason, one of the biggest reasons why Roman Reigns lost the WWE Championship. And that's basically what he's here. He's really here to see how things are going to play out, but he knows that Roman is not going to like the reality of this favor. And that's why he's here. He's just here for a good time and to watch everything implode. So, of course, Roman, he has his retort of, he doesn't trust him. He's not loyal, and I like that he's have that standpoint of loyalty and trust because it's about to get tested. Because as soon as CM Punk comes out there, he comes out there and basically everyone wants to know what's the favor. Crowd's chanting, what's the favor? And he starts going down what he was talking about at the beginning of the show of how people wanted to fire him, but Paul Heyman didn't let it happen. And how Paul Heyman's always had his back. And the powers that be back in the day were always trying to get rid of him. But he knew at some point one day, Paul Heyman said it to him. He's going to main event WrestleMania and he's going to show the powers that be that they were wrong. Now, those said powers that be aren't here anymore. AKA Vince and everyone else that was around Vince at that time. They're not here anymore. So, he's going to make him suffer. And by him, he was referring to Roman. So, his favor is simple. The one person that's always had his back. The one person that is always batted for him and cared about him in this entire industry. That is, he wants his wise man, Roman Reigns' wise man, to be in his corner at WrestleMania this year. That's what he wants. He's main eventing. He wants Paul Heyman in his corner for that main event. Now, Roman, he shrugs it off. Oh, what? That's not going to happen. Hey, wise man, tell him, let him off easy. Paul doesn't. Roman's starting to realize something's not right. He's like, wise man, tell him no. Tell him you're not doing it. Like, then he starts to get upset. He's like, wise man, I'm the reason why I brought relevancy to you. I'm the reason why you are where you are now. It's because of me. Tell him. And here's the crazy thing. Paul has already screwed himself because earlier in the night, he agreed whatever CM Punk request is, he's going to say yes. There's nothing he could do. And basically, Paul's like, look, I'm sorry, Roman, but no. No, he can't deny him this request. And now Roman's pissed. He puts his hands on Paul Heyman's shoulder. It looked like he's about to pack him up. But CM Punk's like, nope. Hits him in the back of the head with the microphone, starts attacking Roman, and hits Roman with the GTS as Paul Heyman watches with tears in his eyes. And Paul's a great actor, bro. He sold this. He was crying. He was selling all of this. Hits Roman with the GTS. Roman is knocked out because of the GTS. And you see Seth, while all of this is happening, Seth is laughing because he knew this is how things was going to play out. He was expecting this to play out. Roman just got hit with reality and he doesn't know what to do with it. So good. So after that, Seth and CM Punk, they lock eyes, and then Seth gets out the ring. So their hatred is understood. There's nothing to be explained there. This was just for Seth's pleasure to see this nigga Roman once again get hit with reality. And Paul Heyman's not being in his corner at WrestleMania this year, that's his reality. That was great. It still makes things unpredictable, but one thing it does lend to, the idea Roman's most likely not winning this match, which is really crazy when you think about it. I think, honestly, it's out of CM Punk and Seth that can win this match. The question is, who eats the pin? And how will this affect Roman long term? I love this. This was good. I know some people were thinking or hoping the favor would have been some type of world title implications, and we may get that down the road. But when you really think about it in a story standpoint from CM Punk, it makes sense that he would want the one person that's always had his back in his corner for WrestleMania this year. And it all ties back to when CM Punk first came back to WWE. He made it very clear. He said, hey, Roman, Paul Heyman was my wise man first. And now it's all coming full circle. So, hey, comment down below. Let me know. Did you guys enjoy this episode of SmackDown? What was your favorite part of the show? What was your least favorite part of the show? Let me know how y'all felt about the show overall. And are you guys excited to see how things are going to be playing out for WrestleMania this year? But I appreciate all the love and support y'all have shown on the channel. Road to 150K. Appreciate y'all kicking with me. See y'all next one. Peace.